Hi there, Agile friends. Get ready for the World Tour of Agile at the Agile Online Summit 2023. You can join us from October 24th to 26th for a global showcase of cutting-edge Agile practices and insights. Join us at agileonlinesummit.com. This year, we will be featuring some of the best work done around the world and world-class keynotes. You can check all of that at agileonlinesummit.com. But the best part is that your ticket is on us. That's right, it's free to attend and immerse yourself in the world of Agile excellence. Don't miss out on this opportunity to level up your skills and network with peers and industry experts. Mark your calendars and secure your spot at AOS 23 today by visiting agileonlinesummit.com. So get your free ticket or opt for the full digital pass that lets you keep all the conference videos forever and organize, why not, Agile learning sessions at work. You can get the full digital access at agileonlinesummit.com. I'll see you in the conference floor. Hello everybody, today is Team Tuesday and this week we have joining us for the whole week, Danielle Braun. Hey Danielle, welcome back.
Hey Vasco.
So
Thank
Danielle,
you for again.
Yeah, absolutely. So Danielle, we are talking about teams today, but as it usually happens on Tuesday, we also want to get some inspiration, maybe from a book that also inspired you. So what was that book, Danielle?
Yeah, the book that really influenced me most is Night Train to Lisbon by Pascal Mercier. And it's about a teacher, an elder teacher who has to deal with some major changes in his life. So his wife had left him, and so his life was quite in shambles. And then he stumbles into an adventure. So he meets a young woman standing on a bridge, and she wants to jump down. So and he doesn't. He makes her leave the bridge, but she speaks Portuguese, and he doesn't understand anything, and then she disappears. So at least she doesn't commit suicide. So mission accomplished. But then he starts thinking about, what happened here? And so he goes to a bookshop and he tries to learn Portuguese. And then he finds a book in this bookshop, and it's about the life of a doctor in Lisbon in the time when they had this, I can't remember the exact time, but I think it was in the 50s, 60s. So they had also a political, quite difficult time there. And he reads about this person, and then he's really inspired by the bravery of this man, and he decides to travel to Lisbon. So, and then he's really jumping into an adventure, and it's the way he's first paralyzed of this change of his marriage broken, and then this woman on the bridge, and then his trip to Lisbon. That's really, so he embraces this new situation somewhat, and then he jumps into that new new life, so to say. And it taught me to stay open for change and also to new opportunities, even if it's hard to accept it at the beginning, right? So change is always at the moment or at the beginning. Most people are at the beginning reluctant, right? And then after that they adapt a bit, and then they.
It's not always easy to even recognize that the change is necessary, right? Like
also
one of the things, self-reflection is, of course, a major tool that we should all employ, especially Scrum Masters, because we work with people, and self-reflection is a key tool for us to understand what's going on. But even if we self-reflect, like assuming we get to that point that we are able to reflect on our situation and what's going on, it's not always easy even to decide what is the change ahead of me. And as you said, this character in the book is at first paralyzed, right? Maybe even asking, what's wrong with me? right? And I think that's a very important aspect of change, is that at some point we will feel like, what's wrong with me, before we accept that actually a different life is possible. And if I take action, different things can happen.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So definitely a great book for those that like to reflect through fiction. Definitely. And fiction can be an excellent companion for our own self-reflection. Thank you for sharing that, Danielle.
Thanks.
And now we turn to the teams, of course, because they are the focus of our work. Very often also the problems we need to face start there. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because sometimes teams do get into trouble despite our best efforts, and some could argue even sometimes because of our best efforts. So let's dive into that. Tell us a story of a team you were working with at the time. Give us a little bit of context, and then walk us through the steps of how these small behaviors or approaches that the team took up eventually became a big problem for the team.
I had to think about it quite a lot, because I am actually lucky, because I have never experienced a team destroying themselves. So that was good.
Luck, indeed.
Good for me. So, but in my opinion, so I think the lack in communication, or the willingness to deal with the conflict, that really leads to losing trust. And this is, so if a team is not trustful, that's a killer criteria. So that will destroy, in my opinion, everything. And also, so if the team doesn't trust, also the efficiency, right, will lack. And
can you give us an example of what that looks like?
Now, if you don't know what you're, so for example, if you're not transparent in the daily, so if you don't know that your colleague is probably facing issues with their task, or so, you don't know that they might need help. So, and that can risk really the sprint goal, and this will lead to problems.
But of course, one of the difficulties for us as Scrum Masters is to detect, because the lack of communication is not visible, right? Like, it's one of those things we very often talk about, learning to see what's not visible as something that Scrum Masters need to do. And lack of communication, and even, well, lack of trust can actually be visible, but lack of communication is not visible, because just because somebody is not saying something doesn't mean that there is something to say, right? Like, just because, I don't know, Mary is not talking about the performance problems that she's struggling with doesn't mean that she has any performance problems to struggle with, right? So when you think about teams, and specifically this aspect of lack of communication, and also like withdrawing, lack of willingness to deal with conflict, what are the signs you're looking for, the things that are not being done or not being said that tell you that, oh, there's something here?
I'm always watching closely. So, because I think you can, even if it's not said or spoken out loud, you can sometimes read it in their faces. So, if for example, if are the eyes smiling or not? So if it's only a polite smile without any meaning to it, I think I can see that. Maybe not all the time, but often. And that makes me wondering, is there probably more to that? Yeah. Yeah, or if they're especially quick in their, if they are too fast in telling their things, then I think, probably I should have a second look at it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was thinking about detecting the lack of communication is when the conversation is very much self-centered, meaning that I did this, I plan to do that. And because in a team, like, that's at least the mindset that we should bring to work with the teams. In the team, work happens through collaboration. Otherwise, we wouldn't need a team, right? And when there isn't like an obvious collaboration conversation happening, like I need help with this, I don't know about that, can somebody help me find this information? Who should I talk to if I need to do that? Like, if we don't hear these questions for a long time, if it's 1 day or 2 days, especially at the beginning of the sprint, that's perfectly fine. But if it's a repeated pattern of not asking questions, of not asking for help, of not interacting with others, I think that's also a great sign that there is lack of communication. Now, it's just an evidence. It's not the proof, right? Because we, the Scrum Masters, need to then investigate what's behind this, right? Like, hey guys, I don't hear anyone asking for help. Is everything going so well? I mean, we're like 3 days before the end of sprint and nobody's asking for help. Now is the time to ask for help, not in 3 days when it's the end of the sprint. Like, how do you see that?
No, as you said, so I try to be open to such behaviors, and then I ask the questions. I try to ask them, is there really nothing wrong, or do you really need no help at all? And what would you need to really be able to deliver the sprint result in 3 days time? Is there anything you might need? So I force them with my questions. I know that they sometimes hate it, but I'm well known for that.
And asking questions is also one of the superpowers for us as Scrum Masters. Do you have like a particular inspiration when it comes to finding the right questions to ask?
I like changing perspectives. So I ask them, what would another person say? So if they see what you're doing, what are they seeing? What's their perception of this? What's happening right now, or of the situation? So to change the perspective.
Absolutely, and that can be very powerful, right? Because we think, or at least this is how I understand it. Like, when we think about ourselves, there's a lot of information that kind of gets hidden, kind of mixed in the complexity of our own thinking. But when we try to explain what others see in us, then we need to simplify it, obviously, because then we are imagining, what would Jennifer think I am doing? What would Max think I am doing? Like, these are different things, right? Because then I'm forced to think, what do they see? What am I communicating? Rather than everything else that is in my mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great inspiration for asking questions, change perspectives. Thank you for sharing that, Danielle.
You're welcome.
Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. But tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.